Did you know that some of the world's top sleep and bladder specialists now recommend specific nuts, not pills, to stop frequent nighttime urination? Most people have never heard of this, but according to recent research, three nutrient-rich foods can reduce nocturia symptoms by up to 53% by calming overactive bladder nerves, repairing the bladder lining, balancing kidney hormones like ADH, and helping your brain stay asleep through the night. They're natural, low-carb, and backed by science, yet you'll rarely hear about them in mainstream treatment. In this video, you'll discover what these three nuts are, how they reduce nighttime urgency, and the exact bedtime recipes that help you sleep longer, wake up less, and finally feel refreshed in the morning. If you're tired of waking up every night to pee, this is the bladder relief guide you've been waiting for. First on list, pine nuts. If your nights are constantly interrupted by the urge to urinate, whether it's once, twice, or several times, your body may be signaling a deeper imbalance. Frequent nighttime urination, or nocturia, is rarely just a bladder problem. It often involves the kidneys, prostate, nervous system, and even sleep hormones. And while many people reach for medications or bladder training, few realize that certain natural foods, especially nuts like pine nuts, can offer powerful science-backed support to calm your nights, protect your kidneys, and restore hormonal rhythm. Small but mighty, pine nuts are rich in minerals, healthy fats, and rare plant compounds that directly target the most common causes of nocturia. Let's begin with what makes pine nuts so effective. Just 1 ounce, about 160 kernels, provides approximately 169 milligrams of magnesium, 40% of the daily value, which is extraordinarily high for a nut. This one mineral alone plays a critical role in reducing overactive bladder symptoms. Magnesium relaxes the detrusor muscle, which controls bladder contractions. When magnesium is low, common in older adults and diabetics, the detrusor becomes jumpy, sending false signals to the brain and waking you even when your bladder isn't full. Research shows that magnesium supplementation can reduce nighttime bathroom trips by up to 53% in people with OAB and nerve-related urinary symptoms. But it goes deeper. Modern studies on the bladder-brain connection reveal that poor communication between the brainstem and bladder nerves, especially in people with diabetic neuropathy, can cause misfired urgency signals during the night. Pine nuts support this feedback loop by providing both magnesium and tryptophan, which help relax nerve pathways and regulate neurotransmitters. When this loop is restored, your brain receives clearer, more accurate signals from the bladder, so it only wakes you when necessary, not when it's half full or mildly stretched. Pine nuts also contain 594 milligrams of potassium per ounce, 13% of the daily value, a mineral crucial for fluid balance and kidney function. This helps prevent nocturnal polyuria, a condition where your kidneys make too much urine at night. Potassium helps regulate sodium excretion and promotes water retention in cells rather than flooding into the bladder during sleep. That means fewer full bladder awakenings and more uninterrupted sleep cycles. And pine nuts are low in sodium, just 1 milligram per ounce, making them ideal for anyone trying to reduce nighttime fluid shifts caused by salt overload. For men, pine nuts offer a unique advantage. They are naturally high in zinc, 1.8 milligrams per ounce or 16% of the daily value, and a rare compound called pinolenic acid, which has been shown to reduce prostate inflammation and support healthy testosterone levels. This is key because an enlarged prostate, or benign prostatic hyperplasia, BPH, is one of the most common and silent causes of nighttime urination in older men. Pine nuts help reduce swelling, improve urinary flow, and decrease feelings of incomplete emptying, so the bladder doesn't signal urgency unnecessarily during the night. For women, the zinc content also supports bladder lining repair, especially post-menopause, when estrogen decline makes the bladder wall thinner and more sensitive to pressure. One of pine nuts' most overlooked benefits is their role in sleep hormone production. They contain trace amounts of tryptophan, the amino acid needed to make melatonin, and serotonin. These two neurotransmitters are essential for keeping you asleep and helping your brain ignore minor bladder signals during the night. When your melatonin levels drop due to stress, light exposure, or aging, You're more likely to wake up at the slightest bladder stretch. Pine nuts help restore this rhythm naturally, supporting deep non-REM sleep, which is the most healing phase of the night for your kidneys and nerves. Despite their richness, pine nuts are low glycemic, with a glycemic index of about 20 and glycemic load under 2 per ounce. They contain only 3.7 grams of carbs and 1 gram of sugar per ounce, making them extremely safe for diabetics who suffer from diabetic neuropathy or overactive bladder. Their 13 grams of fat per ounce are mostly unsaturated, and they also provide 4 grams of protein, which helps support nighttime satiety and muscle recovery, including pelvic floor strength, an often overlooked aspect of nocturia management. Let's clear up a common myth. Many people believe pine nuts are fattening or raise cholesterol. In reality, pine nuts are cholesterol-free and contain plant sterols that can actually lower LDL, bad cholesterol. In fact, pinolenic acid has been shown to reduce appetite and support weight management, two critical goals for anyone trying to ease bladder pressure and stabilize hormone levels overnight. Did you know? Pine nuts aren't actually nuts. They're seeds extracted from pine cones. It takes 15 to 25 years for a pine tree to mature enough to produce cones with edible seeds. This long growth cycle makes pine nuts rare, nutrient-dense, and deeply rooted in traditional medicine, especially in Mediterranean and Siberian cultures, where they've been used for urinary and kidney support for generations. Want to try a delicious bladder-friendly pine nut recipe? Make this warm pine nut and spinach evening stir. In a small non-stick pan, lightly toast 1 tablespoon of pine nuts until golden. Then saute 1 cup of fresh spinach in 1 teaspoon olive oil with a pinch of turmeric and fennel seeds. Sprinkle in a touch of nutmeg or pumpkin spice. Both are natural melatonin boosters that help your body ease into deep sleep. Let everything simmer for 3 to 4 minutes until soft and fragrant. This dish combines magnesium, potassium, anti-inflammatories, and sleep-supporting compounds into a single comforting, bladder-calming bowl. Enjoy it 60 to 90 minutes before bed, keeping the portion around 1 cup to avoid excess bladder volume. Now here's one thing to be aware of. Pine nut syndrome is a rare but real condition where people temporarily experience a metallic or bitter taste in the mouth after eating certain pine nut varieties, especially from China. It's harmless and resolves in a few days, but to avoid it, look for Siberian or Italian pine nuts and buy from trusted organic sources. Also, keep portions to no more than 1 ounce daily, especially if you're watching calories or have kidney concerns. So if you're looking for a nutrient-dense, bladder-calming, hormone-supporting nut that works on multiple levels, pine nuts should be part of your nighttime healing routine. Second on list, macadamia nuts. If you're still waking up 1 or more times each night to urinate, despite managing fluid intake or trying medications, your body may be fighting low-grade inflammation, nerve overactivity, or weak hormonal signaling that disrupts the brain-bladder connection. That's where macadamia nuts quietly shine. Known for their rich, buttery taste, macadamias aren't just heart-healthy, they're one of the most anti-inflammatory nuts on the planet, with a rare fat composition that supports kidney filtration, bladder nerve repair, hormone balance, and sleep stability. For those dealing with nocturia caused by benign prostatic hyperplasia, BPH, nocturnal polyuria, or diabetic neuropathy, macadamias offer a clean, low-carb, deeply therapeutic solution, especially when used in the evening. Let's start with what makes macadamia nuts different. Just 1 ounce, about 10 to 12 nuts, provides a whopping 21.5 grams of fat, but nearly 80% of that fat is monounsaturated, primarily oleic acid and palmitoleic acid. These fats act as anti-inflammatory messengers, calming the nerves that line your bladder and pelvic floor. This matters greatly in nocturia, where even mild inflammation in the detrusor muscle or surrounding tissue can create false urgency signals that wake you from sleep. By reducing inflammation at the source, macadamias help lower bladder irritability and allow your nervous system to stay quiet throughout the night. They're also surprisingly rich in magnesium, 36 milligrams per ounce, 9% of the daily value, and potassium, 104 milligrams, which support muscle relaxation and kidney filtration control. Magnesium relaxes the bladder wall and reduces spasms, while potassium helps prevent excessive nighttime urine production by stabilizing fluid pressure across the kidney membranes. Combined, these minerals help your body avoid unnecessary bladder contractions and maintain better control while you sleep. And macadamias are extremely low in sodium, 1 milligram per ounce, making them one of the best nut choices for people trying to avoid salt-driven fluid shifts at night. For men, macadamia nuts support prostate health through their unique blend of zinc, manganese, and anti-inflammatory fats. While they contain 1.2 milligrams of manganese per ounce, 52% of the daily value, which aids in tissue repair and testosterone balance, they also deliver zero point 0.6 milligrams of iron and small but meaningful amounts of zinc, vital for reducing BPH-related symptoms like dribbling, urgency, and incomplete bladder emptying. This makes them a smart choice for older men dealing with nocturia linked to prostate inflammation. For women, macadamias help stabilize estrogen metabolism and protect the bladder lining from dryness and irritation that often follows menopause, especially when paired with omega-9 fats. Now here's where it gets interesting. Macadamias may also play a role in supporting anti-diuretic hormone, ADH, activity. This hormone tells your kidneys to slow down urine production at night, but its effectiveness declines with age, stress, and insulin resistance. The healthy fats in macadamia nuts have been shown to improve hypothalamic signaling and protect the adrenal glands, both of which regulate ADH production. That means your body produces less urine while you sleep, translating to fewer midnight trips and longer sleep stretches. One of the best features of macadamia nuts is their blood sugar impact. With a glycemic index of 0 and only 1.5 grams of total carbs per ounce, they're one of the safest nuts for people with type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance, or metabolic syndrome, all of which are strongly linked to nocturia. Their high fat and fiber content, about 2.4 grams of fiber per ounce, promotes slow digestion, balanced hormones, and longer satiety. All helpful for overnight blood sugar control, especially in diabetics prone to nighttime polyuria caused by glucose dumping. Let's bust a myth. Many people believe macadamias are too fatty or raise cholesterol. In truth, macadamias are cholesterol-free, rich in plant sterols, and their monounsaturated fats help lower LDL, bad cholesterol, while increasing HDL, good cholesterol. Studies show that regularly eating macadamias may reduce C-reactive protein, CRP, a marker of inflammation linked to overactive bladder symptoms and kidney stress. So instead of harming you, the right portion of macadamias supports vascular health, improving blood flow to the kidneys, pelvic nerves, and bladder wall. Here's a fun fact. Macadamia trees can take up to 7 to 10 years before they produce nuts, and they grow mostly in volcanic soil regions like Hawaii and parts of Australia. That long growth period contributes to their density in trace minerals and unique fatty acid profile, making them one of the most nutrient-dense, low-lectin, anti-inflammatory foods available for nighttime healing. Want to try a soothing, blood sugar-friendly macadamia recipe before bed? Make this creamy macadamia cinnamon sleep blend. In a blender, combine 10 macadamia nuts, 1 ounce, with 1/2 cup warm unsweetened almond milk, 1/4 banana, a pinch of cinnamon, and optionally a sprinkle of nutmeg, a natural melatonin enhancer. Blend until smooth and sip warm about 60 minutes before bedtime. This drink helps calm nerves, support melatonin production, and stabilize nighttime blood sugar, all while nourishing your bladder, kidneys, and nervous system. Keep the portion to 6 to 8 ounces total, and don't eat too close to lying down to avoid bladder stretching. Here's one gentle heads up. Macadamia nuts are calorie-dense, so stick to 1 ounce daily if you're watching weight or managing kidney function. Also, avoid salted or chocolate-coated varieties, as the additives can trigger bladder irritation and insulin spikes. So if pine nuts help reduce urgency through mineral rebalancing and nerve clarity, macadamia nuts bring anti-inflammatory depth and hormonal control, giving your bladder, kidneys, and brain the calm they need to sleep longer without interruption. Third on list, basil seeds. They might look like chia seeds' close cousins, but basil seeds, also known as sabja or tuckmaria seeds, are a completely different class of natural medicine when it comes to calming frequent nighttime urination. Used in Ayurvedic and Persian medicine for centuries, these tiny black seeds swell into a soft, slippery gel when soaked, and that unique gel formation is where the healing begins. For people battling nocturia, especially when caused by bladder irritation, inflammation, diabetic nerve damage, or hormonal imbalance, basil seeds offer hydration control, anti-inflammatory action, and deep bladder lining repair, without any sugar spikes or medication side effects. Let's begin with how basil seeds work on hydration and fluid regulation. When soaked in water for 20 to 30 minutes, basil seeds absorb up to 30 times their weight in water, forming a mucilaginous gel that slowly releases moisture throughout the digestive tract. This process naturally slows the rate of kidney filtration, meaning your bladder fills more gradually overnight. For anyone experiencing nocturnal polyuria, where the kidneys overproduce urine at night, this slow-release hydration effect is critical. It stabilizes fluid balance, calms your bladder wall, and reduces those sudden 2 a.m. urgency signals that disrupt deep sleep. But that's only part of their power. Basil seeds are incredibly high in soluble fiber, about 7 grams per 2 tablespoon serving, which is 25% of the daily value. This fiber not only slows digestion and glucose absorption, but also feeds the beneficial bacteria in your gut. And here's the connection. A healthy gut produces short-chain fatty acids that lower inflammation system-wide, including in the bladder wall, pelvic nerves, and kidneys. That means fewer spasms, less pressure, and a quieter bladder at night. This is especially helpful for diabetics with bladder nerve hypersensitivity, which often goes undiagnosed but contributes to frequent nighttime urination. And here's something very few people know. The gelatinous coating of soaked basil seeds mimics mucilage, a naturally soothing substance your bladder lining also produces. When your bladder lining is thin or irritated, a common issue in both older adults and people with diabetes, urine becomes more irritating, triggering urgency even when volumes are low. Basil seeds help reinforce the mucin layer of the bladder wall, offering a gentle, protective cushion that reduces friction, burning, and those false signals that wake you up at night. In terms of mineral content, basil seeds are rich in calcium, 142 milligrams per 2 tablespoons, 11% of the daily value, magnesium, 95 milligrams, 23% DV, and iron, 2.5 milligrams, 14% DV. These three minerals work in perfect harmony to support muscle tone, nerve signaling, and bladder sphincter strength, all critical for holding urine longer during sleep. Magnesium relaxes the detrusor muscle to prevent overactivity, calcium strengthens the bladder lining and sphincter tone, and iron supports oxygen delivery to pelvic tissues. The result? More control, fewer wake-ups, and longer stretches of uninterrupted sleep. Basil seeds are also a natural sleep aid. They contain trace amounts of tryptophan, which the body uses to produce serotonin and melatonin, both essential for healthy sleep cycles. But what's unique is how basil seeds slow digestion and calm the gut-brain axis, which plays a direct role in bladder nerve sensitivity. When the gut is inflamed or bloated, it puts pressure on the bladder and pelvic nerves, triggering false urgency. Basil seeds reduce this pressure by flattening bloating, improving gut motility, and relaxing smooth muscle tissue, all of which contribute to a quieter bladder and deeper sleep. For men, basil seeds offer additional support for prostate and kidney function. Their high antioxidant levels, including flavonoids like orientin and vicenin, reduce inflammation in the prostate gland, improving urinary flow and reducing residual urine that can lead to nocturia. For women, especially postmenopausal, basil seeds help strengthen the bladder lining and reduce infection risk by supporting estrogen metabolism and tissue repair, two often overlooked factors in nighttime urinary frequency. One of the best things about basil seeds is their glycemic index, essentially zero. They contain no digestible sugars or starches, making them completely safe for people with type 2 diabetes or insulin resistance. And because they form a thick gel, they slow the release of glucose from other foods eaten with them, helping prevent blood sugar-driven urine dumping. which is a major contributor to nighttime urination in diabetics. Let's clear up a myth. Some people think basil seeds are just for desserts or drinks like Faluda, but their healing properties go far beyond flavor or texture. When used intentionally, soaked, portioned, and combined with calming foods, they act more like a functional remedy than a topping. They're not just decorative, they're deeply therapeutic. Here's a fun fact. Unlike chia seeds, basil seeds swell almost instantly when soaked, making them easier to prepare quickly. And in ancient Persia, they were used by travelers to prevent dehydration without frequent urination, which shows how long their fluid-conserving properties have been recognized in traditional medicine. Want to try an evening recipe that supports your bladder, calms your nerves, and keeps you asleep longer? Make this vanilla basil seed bedtime gel. Soak 1 tablespoon of basil seeds in 1/2 cup warm unsweetened almond milk for 20 minutes. Add a few drops of vanilla extract, a sprinkle of cinnamon, and optionally a pinch of nutmeg to enhance natural melatonin production. Once the seeds swell and the mixture thickens, eat it slowly with a spoon about 45 to 60 minutes before bed. This low-volume, high-impact blend hydrates your cells, supports your bladder lining, and helps your brain shift into deep non-REM sleep without being interrupted by false bladder signals. One gentle heads up, because basil seeds absorb so much water, never eat them dry. Always soak them for at least 15 to 20 minutes before consuming. And if you're on blood thinners, speak with a healthcare provider. Basil seeds are rich in vitamin K and omega-3-like compounds that may mildly affect clotting in sensitive individuals. Stick to 1 tablespoon daily at night, especially if you're combining them with other bladder-supportive foods. Final thought. So if pine nuts rebuild bladder nerve control and macadamias reduce inflammation and balance hormones, basil seeds hydrate, soothe, and protect the bladder and kidneys at a foundational level, making them a must-have in any natural Nocturia solution plan. When used together, these 3 powerhouse foods support your body from the inside out, calming the nerves, healing the lining, slowing the kidneys, and helping you finally sleep through the night. If this video helped you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell icon so you never miss more science-backed tips to support your bladder, sleep, and diabetic health naturally. And feel free to share this with someone who deserves peaceful nights again.